Would you like to move closer so we can talk? Your voice could be heard. We're going to talk in English first. Come closer. Come close. You can ask any question you want to ask.
Even on personal experiences?
Well,
Because it is being broadcasted.
it's up to you. Yeah. You might not have to.
Is it okay if I ask?
It is okay to ask, but if it's okay not to answer also. It depends. If it's about my personal experience, I usually try not to avoid answering. I'll try to make it more like a non-personal event, you know. Yeah.
Later on I will.
Okay. You don't have anything to want?
No.
Okay.
So, we had a question about the proper way to deal with criticism.
Criticism. The Lord Buddha said that you live in this world where there is criticism and praises, and they are something that you cannot avoid. Sometimes people praise you, sometimes people criticize you. So you should treat it as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Anicca is impermanent. Once they said it, it's already gone. It comes and goes. Anatta means it's not under your control. You cannot tell the person to praise you only and not to criticize you. All you can do is to take them as they are. Take praises as they come, take criticism as they come. And listen with a heart of neutrality, not to be be prejudiced by your like or dislike. Normally we like praises and we don't like criticism. So when we are criticized, we tend to react negatively. We feel sad, we feel angry. So this is where you have to overcome, is to bring your mind back to neutrality, just to listen to whatever people say. If they praise you, just know that they praise you. If they criticize you, just know that they criticize you. Don't react toward their praises or criticism. Normally we tend to react. When people praise you, say, "Oh, thank you, I'm very happy." You know? And if they criticize you, you say, "Oh, I'm mad at you. You know, I'm angry." You know? Because you cannot tell people not to criticize you, or you cannot ask people to only praise you. You know? So you have to take them equally the same, with no prejudice, neutrality, no like or dislike. Yeah. Just treat it like a sound of the bird. You listen to the sound of the bird, and what do you say? You don't say anything. You listen with neutrality, but you don't know what the bird is saying. It might be praising you right now, or it might be criticizing you. It might praise you, "Oh, these are good people, they come to listen to Dhamma." Or they can criticize you, "Why these people come here? They're disturbing my peace. Yeah. Why don't they go home?" Yeah. So you cannot control them. You cannot. They are like the weather, the Buddha said. Anatta means they are natural things that is not under your control. Everything is anatta. Your body is anatta. You cannot control your body. You might be able to control part of it, part of the time, but eventually you will not be able to control it. You cannot control the body to keep it young forever. You know. The body is going to get old, get sick and die. So it's the same way with everything in this world. The Lord Buddha said the four loka dhamma, the four worldly experience of phenomena, namely wealth, status, praises, and happiness. They are impermanent. They can flip to the other side. But you can have wealth sometime, and you can also lose wealth. You can have status, and you can lose your status. You can have praise, but you can also have criticism. You can have happiness, but you can also have unhappiness, sadness. Because this is the nature of phenomena in this world. They change. They don't remain the same. And you cannot control them and tell them to be the same, exactly the way you want them to be. So if you don't want to be hurt by their changing nature, you have to adapt your mind toward those changes. If somebody praises you today and tomorrow they criticize you, you have to adapt your mind from accepting praises to accepting criticism. If you can accept praise, then you should be able to accept criticism. If you can accept gaining wealth, you should also accept losing wealth. If you can accept gaining status, you should also be ready to accept losing status. If you can accept happiness, you should also be ready to accept losing happiness. Because this is the nature of these things. They are not the same all the time. They keep changing back and forth.
Accept the present moment without any resistance, but being aware of impermanence at all times.
That's right. So if you are aware of impermanence at all times, then you are not attached to them. You don't want to manage them or control them, because you know you cannot do it. Yeah.
Because even if you are in higher samadhis, they still are impermanent. When you go into the samadhi, but that state even is impermanent.
Yes, you cannot stay in samadhi forever. You have to come out. The thing that is permanent is the normal state of mind. Like right now, your mind is always like this, but due to your delusion and your defilement, it keeps pulling the mind back and forth, from desiring to not desiring, keep from liking to disliking. So you want to train your mind to be neutral and be back to the true nature of the mind, which is knowing. The true nature of the mind is not just knowing. It knows everything, but the defilement brings the prejudice, create the prejudice to make the mind to have like and dislike with what they know. So the goal is to get rid of these prejudices and maintain just the neutral mind. The pure mind is the neutral mind, the mind that has no prejudice, has no like, no dislike, no fear or delusion. And you can calibrate this neutrality by entering into samadhi. Because when you get to the fourth jhana, the mind becomes neutral. It accesses the equanimity state. This is what you want from samadhi. You want to calibrate your mind to be in an equanimity state, and try to maintain that after you come out of samadhi.
In that state of equanimity, that you are totally unaware of any thoughts, there's no memory, and there is also the self is no longer there.
No delusion.
It's just emptiness there.
Just knowing. Just knowing.
Knowing.
Yeah. You want to bring that state out to the normal state. When you come of samadhi, that's what you bring that with you, see, that neutral state of mind, which you can do by using mindfulness. See.
And that also brings about your understanding that it is only the chitta that remains at the end, that without any disappearance, compared to the rupa aspect and the dhamma aspect of it, but only this chitta remaining, and thus bringing about the sort of no longer the doubt on the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha and the path that you have taken.
Mm. When you see the truth, when you see the true nature of the mind, then you have no doubt in the Buddha, in the Dhamma, or in the Sangha, because they are the ones who know this true nature of the mind, and they're the ones who introduce this to us. So you know that they exist. They're not something created out of somebody's imagination, just to appease us, you know. But they're true. That the Buddha did exist 2,500 years ago. There's a man who became enlightened, the man who had discovered the true nature of the mind, and discovered the nature of suffering, and discovered the nature of being free of suffering.
And also leads to the belief in karma and other existences coming to be into other existences.
Of course, you know, once you know that the mind is not the body, then you know that this is why we have rebirth, because the mind didn't die with the body, and the mind, once if it still has any desire, then it needs to have a body. If you still have the desire to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to feel with your body, then you need a body. So that's why the mind come back and attach itself to a new body.
And that you experience that the chitta can remain without the body.
Right.
It is
right.
undying.
Once you know that the citta and the mind is two separate entities, then you can understand right away what rebirth means. See, because one doesn't die because it hasn't has any shape or form. It is not being formed by anything, as opposed to the body, which is being formed by the four elements. See. Go ahead.
Can you kindly talk about the consequences of hatred?
Can you say it again?
She wanted to know the consequences of hatred.
Hatred. Well, you have a lot of enemies. The consequence, you have no friends. Yeah. When you hate people, you don't build friends. You build enemies. So that's why the Buddha said metta. You need to have loving kindness, because loving kindness will make you have lots of friends. The Buddha said someone who has metta is being loved by human and non-human, and he is always happy whether he's awake or he's sleeping. And when he dreams, he has no bad dreams, and he would not be hurt by weapons or by poison, because no one would hurt him, because he has no enemies. And when he dies, he goes to the heavenly realms. This is the consequence of having loving kindness. And the consequence of hatred is the opposite. You would be hated by human and non-human. You will be unhappy whether you're awake or you're sleeping. you will have bad dreams, and you could be killed by weapons or poison, and you would go to the hell after you die. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
And if because of that hatred, if you point it towards your husband all the time, that hatred,
you get a divorce.
Can you kindly say something, because this is a person that I know. However much I tell her, she doesn't accept the Buddhist way, but I told her I will tell you about it,
Okay.
and I will get some advice about her.
Well, you have part of the advice now. The other part is how to get rid of hatred. She should look at the positive side of the person that she hates, because people have good and bad things. But sometimes just a little bad thing can make you forget of a lot of good things in that person. Like sometimes you hate your father and your mother simply because they won't let you marry this woman, But if you look at it, how much they have done for you, from the time they conceive you in the womb and bring you out to this world and raise you up, support you, send you to school, If you look at all the good thing that they have done for you, then this little thing that they did to you that you didn't like doesn't mean anything, and it could overcome your hatred that way. Sometimes we just focus on the little bad thing of the person, and then we forget all the good things that they did for you. Maybe this person hated her husband because he might did something she doesn't like, she didn't like, and so she hates him for that.
She hates when that person goes and sees the people that she doesn't like.
That's all. See, that's only one minor thing. Tell her to look at the good things, the happiness that they have together, the things that they did together, for each other. Sometimes you have to ignore the minor things, the things that you cannot control, because people have their own little quirky ways of doing things, So you just have to accept them for what they are. Like when you go buy fruits in the market, some of the fruit might have a little something on the peel, so what, just get rid of it, and you still have a whole fruit that you can eat. Don't throw the whole fruit away. Right? Okay.
Related to that, this is a question.
Louder.
Related to this, there's the same question. As a human being, how we do control your emotion, your first reactions to it?
You need to develop mindfulness. Mindfulness is the regulator of the mind. If you have mindfulness, you can control your mind, your emotion. So you have to learn to develop mindfulness. Right now you have some mindfulness, but not total mindfulness. You can control some part of your mind, but some part of the other part of your mind you still cannot control. So you need to develop mindfulness. The way to develop mindfulness is to focus your mind on one particular object, like a mantra. Repeat a mantra, recite a mantra mentally, from the time you get up to the time when you don't have to think. When you get up, you usually don't have to think about anything. All you have to do is get ready to go to work or whatever. During that time, try to develop mindfulness by reciting the mantra as you go to do whatever you are doing. Or you can focus your attention on your activity, your physical activity.
Like when I'm washing dishes.
Washing dishes, washing your face, brushing your teeth, getting dressed, whatever you do, just watch the body. Don't let your mind go think about other things. This is controlling the mind, see. The mind likes to go think about this and that all the time. And you're not controlling it, you let it go. So when the time you want to bring it back, it won't come back. So you should not let it go. You should, like a dog, you should have a leash, tie it to a leash, and then it cannot go away. Mindfulness is like a leash of the mind. It will control your mind. It will tell your mind to stop. Then when your mind gets angry, you can stop it. When your mind gets jealous, you can stop it by just reciting the mantra. For instance, if somebody says something bad, criticize you, and you're angry, all you have to do is recite the mantra, Bhutto, 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 and don't think about the thing that you heard, you know. And once you forget about what people said, then your anger disappears. It works with everything. Fear, when you're in a place where you feel scary, you just recite the mantra. Then when you don't think about the thing that make you feel fearful, then the fear will disappear. This is the first step of controlling the mind. But this is a temporary measure, not a permanent fix. If you want a permanent fix, you have to use wisdom or insight. You have to look at the problem and analyze it. And you will find that all your problems arise from your desire. Like criticism. You have desire not to have people criticize you. So when people criticize you, it becomes a problem. So all you have to do is stop your desire for not wanting people to criticize you. And you have the reason why you have to do this, because you cannot tell people to not criticize you. So you have to accept whatever other people do or say, because you cannot control them. You know. But you can control your mind. You can tell your mind to accept the truth. Criticism is the truth that happens. You know. Once it happens, you just have to accept it and not try to get rid of it. You know. If you try to get rid of it, you become stressful. But if you accept it, then you become comfortable. Okay, you want to criticize me, go ahead. I'm willing to listen. What's so bad about criticizing? It's just sound that comes into your ear. Just like the sound you listen from the sound of lightning or the sound of birds, sound of the wind. You know, they all sound. So, what's wrong with that? You know. Since you cannot prevent it or stopping it, you just have to let it be. Just listen to it. Yeah. And eventually it will stop, because everything is impermanent.
Isn't it also trying to attach to that moment that has already passed?
That's right. Because what they said is already disappeared. Sometimes they say that this morning and this afternoon you still think about it and you're still angry about it. If you have mindfulness, you can just shove it out of your mind just by using a mantra. Or if you have strong mindfulness, once you have strong mindfulness, you don't need mantra. Mantra is only to increase your mindfulness, strengthen your mindfulness. If you don't have the strength to stop whatever your mind is attached to, then you need to have a mantra to pull it out, to pull it away from the things that is being attached to.
So to have wisdom, you always have to be in the equanimous state.
Well, to have wisdom is to bring your mind back to equanimity. See, when your mind starts to get out of equanimity, start liking or disliking, then you have to tell the mind, this is dangerous, because what you like is impermanent. It's gonna disappear. when it disappears, it will make you sad, unhappy. Yeah. And the same way with what you dislike, they are not under your control. You cannot tell them to go away or to stop. Yeah. So it's better just to bring your mind back to equanimity by not having a desire toward those objects of your like or dislike. When you have no desire, then your mind will fall back to equanimity. When you have desire, it means your mind already has get out of equanimity. It starts to go into the prejudice side of the mind, like or dislike, fear or delusion.
Ajahn Mahabua talks about contemplation leading to mindfulness, concentration and panya. So in that respect, if you contemplate on a samadhi aspect which you have experienced, and if you contemplate on it and try to understand what it is all about, isn't it another way of getting a better understanding? So when you go through it, you are unaware of anything. But only when you come out of it and you contemplate on it, only you are aware of what has happened. So that contemplation, isn't it valuable?
It is, but it's not, because there are things that you should contemplate more than on these things. Unless you have problem with this thing, then you should contemplate. If you have no problem with it, don't waste your time. Contemplate on things that is a problem to you, like criticism. You should contemplate and figure out how to get rid of this problem. You have problem with your body. Why? Because you don't want it to get old. You don't want it to get sick. You don't want it to die. So you have to contemplate on this body to find out exactly what is the nature of the body. And you'll find that this body is anatta. You cannot control, you cannot stop aging, sickness and death. And the reason why it's a problem to you because you want it to not get old, get sick and die. It will suddenly become no problem if you accept the truth of the body. If you can accept aging, sickness and death, then this will be no problem. See? So this is something you should contemplate on more than anything else. If you have problem with your wife, then you should contemplate on her nature. So you somehow can accept her the way she is. See? The problem is we don't want to accept her the way she is. We want her to be something else. Like your friend, she didn't want her husband to be like that. So she became angry, became an issue, became a problem. But if she studied his nature and say, oh, this is the way he is anatta, you cannot control him, you cannot change him. It's like trying to change a banana to become a mango. People are like fruit. Some are like bananas, some are like mangoes. But if you like mangoes, so you want to change them to become mangoes. This is what anatta means.
So there is a limitation on how much you can do to the body.
Yeah, and other people's body.
When you are sick, yes.
Yeah.
Because she thinks it's the husband's fault, not her fault.
I know, that's the problem, that's the delusion. She look at in terms of a person. In fact, he could not help himself being like that. There are lots of things that we don't like in ourselves, but we know we cannot do anything about it because it's anatta. It's beyond our control.
I have completing explanations that were given, so I just want to clear this up. There is the Sotapatti Phala movement, but where you experience it, but you are unaware of that moment because at that moment there is no one there experiencing it. So therefore when you come out of it, you are unaware of that at that particular moment. But there is the change that occurs to you after that. But it's the same way, is there a moment as the Sotapatti Phala, or is the Phala that is it referring to the practice that you follow towards that?
No, you will experience the fruit of your practice when you have overcome your desire not to get old, get sick and die. You will know, and you call that person who knows, whether you want to call it a name or anything. That person knows, but we use the name that you and I. But actually, it's the mind who knows. See? So the mind knows when he has got rid of his problem. There are 4 stages of problem. The first stage is the problem of a sotapanna. The problem of a sotapanna can solve is the problem of the body, of the aging, sickness and death of the body. And the next step is the problem of attachment to other people's body. Sakidagami still have sexual desire toward other people's body. But when he starts to contemplate on asubha nature of the body, then he starts to get rid of, eliminate that sexual desire. Asakidagami can get rid partially, not all. He knows that he has lessened his sexual desire. Because every time, whenever he has sexual desire, and if he remembers asubha, then this asubha will then stop this sexual desire. But sometimes he forgets, so he cannot stop his sexual desire. So it's still half and half. Sometimes he can, sometimes he can't. But with an anagami, he can stop sexual desire all the time. Every time there's sexual desire, he will think of asubha right away.
When you no longer have any interest in your body, in the sense that you don't care whether it falls sick and so forth, when you have that in your mind, and if you are not that much of interested in seeing that what you use is so much clean, for example, if you lie down on a bed, is this bed clean? If somebody had lied down on this bed earlier, and will I be able to pick up something, and so forth. You don't have that idea, even if you pick it up. So what? If you pick it up, you will treat it. If you can't treat it, so be it. Now, is that a wrong way of looking at it?
Well, you have to become a sotapanna to really understand it. So it's better not to...
No, what I say is that the wrong thing if you do that? Say, for instance, you don't care whether somebody sleeps there or not. You are not interested. You look at it, so what? You have no intention of whether what happens.
I mean, even though you might not be attached to your body, but since you know that you still need the body to do some other good things, then you still want to protect your body, but not emotionally involved with protecting it. You're protecting it rationally.
To maintain the body.
Yeah, to protect the body. If you find the bed is dirty, why sleep on a dirty bed? Get a new sheet, you know. So you still protect your body, you still look after your body, but you're not emotionally involved with the happening of the body. That's all. You still have rationality. Yeah. If you're sick, you still go see a doctor. If the doctor can help you, you go to see a doctor. He can give you some medicine. But if you happen to be in the forest by yourself and there's no doctor, then you just have to accept your fate, that's all. Either way, you are not emotionally involved. Whether you can cure it or not, you will not be affected. If you can cure it, fine, do it. If you can cure it, just okay, accept it's your fate. But you will not feel bad or anything like that. See, the The practice is to get rid of the emotional side of the mind, but we maintain the rational side of the mind. The Buddha is the most rational person in the world, but he is the zero emotional. He has no emotion, but he has rational. Everything he does is all rational.
So in that same sense, if somebody is diagnosed as having a terminal cancer, here you can live for, maybe if you go for chemotherapy, you can live for another 6 months and so on. But here you refuse the chemotherapy because there is no need of holding on to this body and dragging this body and going through intense suffering as a result of those the chemotherapy. You deny
treatment.
You don't want that. But that is not you are trying to end.
No.
It is because you understand in that
rationality.
Rationality and not all.
People are emotional when they try to hang on to the body, so they will use every method possible to prolong their life, even though it's not gonna bring them or stop death anyway. It's just prolonging suffering. That's why a lot of forest monks, they sometimes when they get sick, when they know their time is near, they just refuse treatment. They just stay in the forest and just let the body fade away.
Like Ajahn who said in the last one.
Okay, you have enough question already? Dhamma, go ahead.
I used to always use the Paticamsamuppada as a guidance to meditate, and I used to always learn to let go first, and then I found out once I let go, the desire and the suffering I used to go through was lessened. So at that time I used to meditate very well. Right now I see I'm not using that method anymore, so I see that I can't go to a very peaceful state anymore. So is it wrong to go back to that way? Because nobody talks about it, therefore I stopped doing that. So is it okay to use that method?
Whichever method can bring peace of mind to you, that's the right method for you. The goal is to have a peaceful mind. If you can let go, if you can look at everything as impermanent, as anatta, then why cling to them? By clinging to them will only cause you suffering and stress.
Because most of the time we are suffering because we don't know how to let go. So I thought that is the way to learn to let go.
If you know how to let go, then you have achieved your goal. The problem is we're not letting go. We like to cling to rather than letting go. Whatever you have, you always think it belongs to you, and it must stay with you all the time.
And mostly people don't know that money is only in this life. That we leave it and go. Only what good or bad we do, that we take with us for another birth.
But for a lot of people, they don't believe that. See? They think this is just one shot, so you want to make the best of it. So you want to get as much as money as possible and spend it as much as possible, because this is your only one chance. Once you die, then everything's finished. Because they don't see the mind. See, they don't see the mind, the one that has to continue on after the body dies. They don't see this, and they have this aversion toward religion teaching, because maybe a lot of religious teachings are dogmatic and cannot prove to them to their satisfaction that there is life after death. So they dismiss this notion of life after death, since they cannot prove it. See?
And the part of that notion is due to thinking that the mind is in the brain.
That's
so
right.
When the brain dies, the mind
Yes,
dies.
the mind and the brain, the mind and the body is one. They come together, they go together. But they didn't know that actually they come to conjoin at the time of conception.
consciousness setting in at the time you die, or when the fetus is ready for the consciousness to enter?
Oh, your consciousness, when you die, you still have to go to different spiritual realms first because of your karma. Sometimes you go to heavenly realms, sometimes you go to hell, because your karma is the one that will direct your spirit toward those realms, until to the point where your karma becomes neutral, not positive or negative. Then that's the time when you're ready to go and take a new body.
But you cannot choose that. Your karmic forces.
Your karma is the one that you can choose, because you can choose the karma that you do every day. See, if you somehow can maintain a neutral karma, then when you die, you don't go to heaven or you don't go to hell. Then you come back as a human being. But if you have more good karma, then you go to heaven first, until your good karma equals the bad karma. Then you come back to become a human being. Vice versa with the bad karma.
So the belief that we have in Sri Lanka that the last thought brings about a birth, is that true?
It's true in the sense that you cannot control this last thought. See, this last thought is the summation of your karma. And people thought that they could control their last thought by thinking good, and then they will go to heaven. While all the time they're living, they did all the bad karma. They could not do that.
Yeah, he thinks because he's meditating every day that he can...
No. The last thought is the summation of your good and bad karma.
Isn't it also depend on how you have conditioned your mind?
That's just karma, see. That's karma.
Conditioning is the karma.
Yeah, karma is good karma. If you condition it to become neutral, then you go to nirvana instead. You don't come back and born or go to any spiritual realms. That's what the Buddha and his disciple did. They conditioned the mind to the point where it becomes neutral, where there is no karmic force that can affect that mind. So the karmic force that they did, either good or bad, would not be able to send them to any realms of existence. They will only remain in nirvana.
Could you kindly tell my son, he's always on the cell phone looking at things, how that affects the mind?
It depends on what you look on the phone. You can look at Dhamma books, Dhamma teaching, or you can look at the political news, or whatever, entertainment, sports, whatever. So what you look, you are being influenced by what you look at. So you have to choose what kind of effect you get from looking at these things. If you look at the Dhamma, it brings you peace of mind. It brings you understanding of your life, your nature, and of people around you. But if you look at other things, you have a different kind of understanding of different things.
Well, he's a good son, but I'm worried about him conditioning his mind with all.
I think that's your desire. You cannot look at him as anatta yet. He's still your son. He's an apple. Don't make him a banana.
As you said in your book, siblings are only
physically related, but mentally they come from miles, worlds apart.
Spiritually there is no.
You don't know where they came from.
So a person who doesn't want to accept Dhamma, even if you try to teach them, you can't, right?
You can. If you like, it's like giving them money and they don't want it. What do? You keep the money, right?
Because I tried to teach my sister and she didn't want it.
Right. Dhamma worth more than money. If you give them and they don't want it, then you keep it back. Give it back. Give it to someone else who wants it. See, that's why I'm here. I don't go outside to give Dhamma to people I don't know. because they don't want it. But here, everybody came here, they want it, so I can give it to them. See, so that's what you should do. If people go to you and ask for Dhamma, then give it to them. But if they don't go to you, don't go to them and give them Dhamma.
Because if you need something, you'll always go in search of it.
That's right. Okay. All right. Well, and one more question.
I'm just being curious if you believe in miracles as a teacher in Buddhism.
Miracles are interpretation of events that happen, and you cannot explain the cause of this phenomena. So you call it a miracle. That's all. You can call lightning a miracle. You could not before you could not explain what happens when lightning happens. But now science can prove that lightning is caused by this and that. So it no longer becomes a miracle. You call phenomenon of things that happen that you cannot explain as a miracle.
Could it be a karmic effect at that time?
Well, because you could not and you cannot find the cause, so you call it a miracle. If you could find the cause, then it's no longer a miracle. That's all. This is how we humans interpret phenomenon. When we cannot explain, we say this is God or this is miracle. Because it's easy, because then all your questions stop, see. You got an answer.
There was this plane that crashed and all the passengers died. There was only this one child who survived.
A miracle, see. It's a miracle.
So they say it's a miracle.
In Buddhism we call it's karma. It's karma.
That's what I said. Karma.
I see. Okay.
He was not supposed to die yet.
For Buddhists, if we cannot explain anything, we say this is karma.
For any other, it's a miracle.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.